With an opportunity like today, she knew that the moment she stepped into the hall, countless people would try every trick in the book to curry favor with her, all for a chance to make money. After a long moment, Mora asked, "See Ting Yuan?" Yunyan nodded slightly. "He's not so easy to deal with. Even though we were classmates, business collaborations aren't based on personal feelings. I understand. As long as Miss Mora can arrange for me to meet him, that's enough." Mora looked at her and suddenly smiled. "You're not thinking of using your beauty, are you? The eldest young master of the C family doesn't fall for that." Yunyan's expression didn't change, as if she had heard such doubts countless times. The C family's prominent position in the business world wasn't built on moments of clouded judgment. If I were to use my beauty to persuade the eldest young master of the C family, it would be a disgrace to Miss Mora as well. A flicker of surprise showed in Mora's eyes. She said coolly, "Then I wish you success." After a long pause, she suddenly asked Yunyan another question. "What is your relationship with young Master Yin?" When Yunyan returned to the main hall, the event was about to begin. Xiaomin was clutching her phone, about to call her. Seeing her return, she breathed a sigh of relief. "Where did you run off to? I thought you'd been snatched away by that spendthrift Zhang Xianwen again." Yunyan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Can't you wish me something better?" She told her she had gone to the restroom and happened to overhear some gossip about herself. "You're really something to be able to just stand there and listen." Xiaomin was rendered speechless when she heard the content of the gossip. If it had been her, she would have gone out and torn those three women's mouths to shreds. "Do you know who they were? What was the point of dwelling on it?" Yunyan shook her head. "It's just idle gossip at most. It would only be worth my while to act if they were really describing in detail how I got physical with those young masters at the Hongyu Club. You talk a good game, but when those men were slandering your reputation, why didn't I see you refute any of it? You can even tolerate something like that. The mouths are on their faces. What's the use of me explaining? Those people will only believe what they want to believe." Xiaomin knew this was true and sighed. She jutted her chin toward the front VIP seats. Mora. She saw her. Mora had left the restroom first. When Yunyan returned, she saw Mora in the front row. It was no exaggeration to say she was the center of attention. But Yunyan's focus was on the man to Mora's left. His silhouette was tall and imposing, his back ramrod straight. He wore a dark, exquisitely tailored suit that was both luxurious and flattering, with broad shoulders and a narrow waist. His physique alone was enough to draw the eye. From Yunyan's angle, she could see his profile perfectly. He had deep-set eyes and a sharp, defined jawline. A powerful aura emanated from him, and every gesture exuded nobility. "See Ting Yuan." He was the connection she wanted to make. Xiaomin followed her gaze and said softly, "The eldest young master of the C family. He's been in the limelight recently. I heard he completely suppressed the second master of the C family a while back." The C family wasn't large, with only 2 sons, but those 2 sons had never been on good terms and were fierce rivals in the business world. Xiaomin didn't elaborate on the C family situation. Her attention was drawn to the empty seat to Mora's right. It had been vacant the whole time, yet it was conspicuously prominent. 9 times out of 10, it's reserved for someone from the Jiang family. Just as Xiaomin's words fell, a stir went through the crowd. Yunyan followed the movement and looked toward the entrance, and she froze. That Jiang Yunyan would come was beyond Yunyan's expectations. Even with how little she knew about the current Jiang Yunyan, she was certain of one thing. He rarely made appearances at occasions like this. Compared to the spotlight and public eye, Jiang Yunyan preferred to manipulate industrial investments and integrations from behind scenes. Yunyan had been staring at the empty seat, thinking that the most likely person to arrive was Jiang Zhe. He loved to show his face at these kinds of events, even if not for a partnership, given the Jiang family status. Or perhaps it would be the Jiang family's eldest son, Jiang Yantai, but that was also a slim possibility, as this event skewed towards a younger crowd. Jiang Yunyan's appearance surprised everyone present, aside from the organizers. The uproar was like a tidal wave. Even the music couldn't suppress the layered whispers. Yunyan subconsciously glanced at Mora. She saw Mora stand up and look toward the entrance, her posture elegant and noble, her expression showing not a hint of surprise. It seemed she had known beforehand. And beside her, Si Tingyuan also rose. With one hand in his pocket, he turned slightly to place his wine glass on a waiter's tray. His every move was calm and natural, and his expression hardly changed upon seeing Jiang Yunyan. In terms of financial power, the Si family was not inferior to the Jiang family. It was just that the former belonged to the Shanghai Circle and the latter to the Beijing Circle. The 2 circles had different rules, but their strength was evenly matched. Many people at the event had only heard of young Master Yan's great name, but had never seen him in person. After a few whispered exchanges, everyone knew who he was. Many socialites standing near Yunyan were utterly captivated. So that's young Master Yin of the capital. He's so handsome. He never used to show his face. We really hit the jackpot today. So Mora came because she knew young Master Yin would be here. Maybe young Master Yin knew Mora was coming, so that's why he came. The conversation revolved entirely around Jiang Yinyan. Yunyan held her wine glass, taking small sips, thinking to herself that power and wealth were truly blinding. What would these people think if they knew Jiang Yinyan was once a bodyguard for the Yu family? Or rather, if Jiang Yinyan was just a yin, would these socialites even spare him a second glance? The A yin of the past would follow behind her at these events. He would stand in a corner of the venue, silently watching over her safety. Some socialites had asked her, "Is that your bodyguard? He's quite handsome." So even those who had noticed the yin back then would never imagine he was Jiang Yinyan. Yunyan felt that the people and affairs of this world were truly interesting. As Jiang Yinyan walked forward, the crowd automatically parted to either side, creating a path as if the Red Sea were splitting in two. "It really is Jiang Yinyan," Xiao Min sighed. Yunyan turned to her. "You don't look surprised either." Xiao Min jutted her chin in Jiang Yinyan's direction. "I heard about it when you went to the restroom. The Jiang family and the Mora family have long-standing business ties, especially between Mora's mother and old Madame Jiang. I heard Ms. Ling Lan met with old Madame Jiang before this event was even held. It's obvious what it was for." For a few seconds, Yunyan's mind went blank. She asked subconsciously, for what? But then she inadvertently recalled the gossip from the three women in the restroom, and a premonition formed in her heart. Xiao Min said, "Are you dense? You can't even figure this out? Just like how old Madame Jiang is very fond of you, she's also very fond of this Mora." Among the three Jiang sons, young Master Yin is the youngest and the best match for Mora. I heard Ms. Ling Lan also thinks very highly of young Master Yin, so that meeting was definitely about a marriage alliance. A union between the Jiang and Mora families would indeed be a powerhouse collaboration. At that moment, Yunyan had an extremely bad feeling. She had misjudged the current situation. It seemed there was another urgent reason Jiang Zhe didn't want to break the engagement. Once Jiang Yinyan and Mora were happily married, it would pose a considerable threat to the eldest son, Jiang Yantai. And if Jiang Yinyan and Mora had children in the future, the last one to be threatened would be Jiang Zhe. Yunyan wanted to laugh. Why did she have to be dragged into the Jiang family struggles? She was just a fallen heiress, an outcast from the socialite circle. Was it only because of old Madame Jiang's favor? Even if she married into the Jiang family, she would be the one with the weakest backing, nothing more than a tool in the power struggle of the Jiang family's main branch. Mora took the initiative to step forward. Although there were no intimate gestures, a man who could make the heiress of the Mora family personally greet him was obviously someone with whom she had a special connection. People around were whispering, "A talented man and a beautiful woman. They're such a perfect match." They did look well matched. Even Yunyan thought so. Jiang Yinyan was tall and imposing, standing out in the entire venue. His physique was comparable to that of a Western male model. As for Mora, she was voluptuous and well-proportioned, with a pair of long, eye-catching legs. Standing together, their height difference alone was pleasing to the eye. It wasn't like when she stood with Jiang Yinyan. She only reached his chest, a height ratio that was truly disharmonious. Yunyan couldn't quite describe the feeling in her heart. It was a little uncomfortable, but then she thought, what right did she have to be uncomfortable? Was it just because of that little relationship she had with Jiang Yinyan? That carnal relationship, setting aside their past, Jiang Yinyan had made it clear from the beginning. 1 year with him. For this year, their relationship couldn't be simpler. She suddenly remembered what he had said in front of old Madame Jiang, that he had a woman he was seeing. Only now did she understand. The so-called woman he was seeing must be Mora, right? Otherwise, with a personality like Jiang Yinyan's, would he submit to his family's arrangements? Seeing Yunyan staring ahead, Xiao Min said softly, "Can you break it off with him?" Yunyan's shoulders trembled slightly, and she turned to look at her. "Even though you don't say it, I can guess," Xiao Min said, pulling her to the side, slightly away from the crowd, and lowering her voice. "You asked him for help, and he demanded something from you in return. This is an unseemly relationship to begin with. So can you end it? You see the situation now. The deep affection in Mora's eyes can't be faked. They've known each other for a long time. She could see it. Mora's eyes were as gentle as water. Min, Jiang Yinyan has been in control of this game from the very beginning. I'm the one who needs something, so I can only comply. Unless he's the one who initiates the break," Yunyan said, her tone desolate as she stared at the wine in her glass. What power did she currently have to sever ties with Jiang Yinyan? Unless, as he had said, he got tired of playing. A dull ache spread through her chest, making it hard to breathe. Xiao Min gritted her teeth and said in a low voice, "You're a high society lady, for crying out loud. What right does he have to degrade you like this? What is this now? A public facade while carrying on a secret affair? It can't be considered a secret affair. Mora knows. Yunyin exhaled softly. Xiao Min was stunned. She knows everything? It was unlikely she knew everything, but the circle was small. If Mora had made an effort to inquire, she would inevitably have heard some rumors. That was why Mora had asked her that question in the restroom. At the time, Yunyin was genuinely shocked, but fortunately, she had managed to keep her composure and tell her it didn't matter. How could it matter? Was she supposed to describe to Mora, in detail, her unseemly relationship with Jiang Yinyin? Xiao Min tilted her head and stared at her without speaking. Yinyin found it strange. What do you want to say? Have you? Xiao Min hesitated slightly, glanced ahead, then brought her gaze back to Yunyin's face. Fallen for him? Yunyin's heart jolted. How was that possible? She said instinctively. Really? Yunyin instinctively looked forward. Jiang Yinyin was about to take his seat, his eyes casually sweeping across the venue. She shuddered again and quickly averted her gaze. But with so many well-dressed men and elegant women at the event, he probably couldn't see her anyway. Really? She clinked her glass lightly with Xiao Min's. Whether it's Jiang Yinyin or not, I don't have a mind for such things right now. Min, I feel like I've lost the ability to love someone since the Yu family's downfall. Everything will be okay. Xiao Min comforted her. I see people from the C family are here too. Do you think the C family will still be receptive? Yunyin subconsciously looked up at Si Tingyuan. He had no interaction with Jiang Yinyin the entire time. People were gathered around him, trying to engage him in conversation. At this kind of event, a playground for the rich and powerful, everyone was driven by self-interest and naturally wouldn't waste a single second. His back view was distant and cold. Just looking at it gave the impression that he was difficult to get along with. Yunyin actually tried to keep her distance from men with such an imposing aura, but now, the men she was repeatedly coming into contact with and was about to contact were all of this type. Jiang Yinyin was like this, and so was Si Tingyuan. The main event of the jewelry exhibition was the auction. The pieces displayed before were all collectibles and new items. Mora was the center of attention, so she remained involved in every part of the event. Yunyin wasn't in a hurry. She sat in a corner, mentally reviewing the talking points for her discussion with Si Tingyuan. She couldn't say she was very confident, nor did she expect to secure a partnership with him after just one meeting today, but it was always good to become a familiar face. Xiao Min wasn't interested in the auction. During this time, many celebrities came over to chat. Xiao Min would assess the situation, making introductions if she felt it could benefit Yunyin, and simply not introducing others at all. In the world of fame and fortune, people's values were all labeled. Jiang Yinyin was constantly surrounded by admirers. He bid on and won a priceless necklace, one that could rival the one Mora was wearing. The crowd gasped. This must be a gift from Mora. The excitement at the front had nothing to do with Yunyin. Events like this were always the same. At the beginning, people walked around, networking. Once the event started, the powerful and wealthy were all at the front, naturally forming their own world. Those sitting in the back rows knew better than to push their way forward. Si Tingyuan was very low-key throughout, but his status was there for all to see, so he couldn't be inconspicuous even if he wanted to. He didn't splurge like Jiang Yinyin, only symbolically bidding on a jade pendant. Although the pendant seemed insignificant compared to the other jewelry at the event, it would be priceless if it ever entered the market. Yinyin overheard the private discussions around her. I heard the young master of the C family isn't married yet. I wonder who he bought that piece for. Not being married doesn't mean there isn't a woman in his life. I've heard that the young master of the C family is very principled and stays away from promiscuity. The start of the dinner banquet was the true beginning of the social battlefield. Xiao Min gradually became too busy to attend to her, surrounded by a crowd of people. Jiang Yinyin was nowhere to be seen at the banquet, and Yunyin knew many were asking around if he had left, likely hoping to make a connection. But soon, someone said they seemed to have seen Jiang Yinyin in the venue's garden, having a romantic rendezvous with Miss Mora under the moon and among the flowers. These words reached Yunyin's ears, and she grew anxious. Mora couldn't be so love-struck that she'd actually forgotten about making the introduction. Could she? She searched the banquet hall, but couldn't find Si Tingyuan either. Her heart sank. Could he have left? At occasions like this, both Jiang Yinyin and Si Tingyuan were clearly at the top of the food chain and would inevitably be hounded by others. Just as she was thinking about whether she should inquire and brave it all on her own, her phone vibrated in her hand. It was an unknown number. When she answered, it was surprisingly Mora. Mora had actually come through for her. Her voice was quite low. I've already put in a word for you with the eldest young master of the C family. He's in the lounge at the end of the top floor. Whether you succeed or not is up to you now. Yunyin was very grateful to Mora. Just as she was about to thank her, she heard a deep voice from the other end of the line. Who is it? On her end, Yunyin felt her head buzz. It was Jiang Yinyin's voice. They really were together. As for what they were doing, She figured she would probably be free for the next few days. Since Mora had come for Jiang Yinyan, she wouldn't be leaving right away. She heard Mora chuckle. No one, just a friend. With that, the call ended. Yunyan stood frozen for a long while, then handed her wine glass to a waiter. The top-floor lounge was not directly accessible. One had to be announced to go up. Yunyan used Mora's name. As the waiter made the call to the top floor, Yunyan's heart was in her throat. Fortunately, Mora hadn't bailed on her. After hanging up, the waiter respectfully told her, "Miss you. Mr. C says you may go up." The temperature on the top floor was very low, or perhaps it was just Yunyan's imagination. After all, the banquet hall was crowded, so the central air conditioning didn't feel as strong. The sound of her high heels was swallowed by the carpet. The crisp clicks from the elevator hall fell into silence the moment she stepped onto the rug, and Yunyan's heart felt like it was on a roller coaster. There was only one lounge on the top floor. After exiting the elevator, several bodyguards stood on either side of the hallway, making Yunyan feel a sense of déjà vu, as if she were seeing the Yen of the past. The door to the lounge was tightly shut, with 2 bodyguards standing guard. As one of them pushed the door open, he said, "Mr. C dislikes noise. Miss, you cannot wear high heels inside." Although Yunyan's expression remained calm, she was somewhat surprised. She had heard that Si Tingyuan liked quiet, but she hadn't expected him to be averse to even the sound of high heels. She scanned the area beside her. It was empty. "Are there no spare shoes?" The bodyguard was neither servile nor overbearing. "Apologies." "Fine." She took off her high heels and walked in slowly. The lounge door closed behind her, and the light from the hallway was finally devoured by darkness. She felt the soles of her feet were freezing. No wonder she wasn't allowed to wear heels inside. The room wasn't even carpeted. It was very dark. Yunyan stood rigidly in place for a short while before her eyes adjusted. The lounge was spacious, but she didn't have the luxury of looking around. She headed toward the light source by the window. 3 sides of the room were floor-to-ceiling windows, with a ceiling height of 6 or 7 meters, making the entire lounge feel exceptionally vast. A man was lying on the sofa, bathed in the moonlight that poured in. Even in the dim light, she could make out his broad shoulders and long legs, his figure tall and slender. Yunyan narrowed her eyes slightly. "Mr. C." The man on the sofa didn't respond, but he didn't seem to be asleep. She stepped forward slowly and called his name again, cautiously. Vaguely, she heard the man let out a muffled groan, heavy and breathless. Yunyan rushed forward in shock, and only then did she get a clear look at the person on the sofa. How could Yunyan have expected to walk into a scene like this? This young Master C looked quite unwell. Did he have some hidden illness or something? It had been 10 minutes at most from the announcement to her getting permission to come to the top floor and walking in. Was this a sudden attack? As Yunyan cautiously approached him, a sudden thought struck her. Could he have been drugged? She was impressed with herself for even thinking of it, but it wasn't impossible. It was said that the eldest young master of the C family had a cold personality and no interest in women, so it was plausible that someone might trip him up and push him into a trap. And just as he was burning with lust, a beautiful woman would be slowly delivered to his side. Yunyan's head was spinning. She subconsciously glanced toward the door. They wouldn't misunderstand her, would they? What was she to do? Yunyan inched closer to Si Tingyuan, her other foot ready to break free and escape at any moment. "CEO Si?" Si Tingyuan's brows were tightly furrowed. He groggily opened his eyes, his breathing rapid and growing more intense with each gasp. He was forcefully suppressing some kind of emotion, his eyes as deep as the sea, staring at her. The moment their eyes met, Yunyan's scalp tingled, and her suspicion was abruptly confirmed. In the next second, she got up to run, but her wrist was suddenly seized by the man's large hand. "Chio Si, I'm not." Yunyan tried to struggle, frantic with anxiety. She had come here to talk business, but the man's grip was incredibly strong, as if he wanted to crush her wrist. Seeing this, Yunyan felt her heart sink even further. "It's over. Is the drug taking effect?" "CEO C, please hold on. I'll go get someone for you right now." With her arm caught, Yunyan couldn't leave. She could only lean sideways, desperately trying to reach her bag nearby. She had to call Xiaomin. If Si Tingyuan really had been drugged, could she trust those bodyguards at the door? Besides, this matter shouldn't be publicized. Just as she was thinking, she heard Si Tingyuan mutter through gritted teeth, "Medicine, help me." Yunyan sucked a sharp breath, her legs going weak. She turned her head to see Si Tingyuan still staring at her, and waves of numbness washed over her scalp. "CEO C, I really can't help you with this, but rest assured, I will definitely not speak of your situation to anyone. I'll find you a medicine in my jacket pocket. Help me. Get it?" Si Tingyuan forced out the words with great effort. Yunyan froze. Looking at him more carefully, she finally noticed the truth. Rather than sweat from burning desire, It looked more like it was caused by physical pain. Okay, let go of me, and I'll get the medicine for you. Si Tingyuan released his grip. Yunyan quickly rummaged through the jacket draped over the arm of the sofa and found a small pill box in the pocket. She opened it. Inside were a few white pills, in compartments for morning, noon, and night. But it was already evening, and the pills in the morning and noon slots were still there. Yunyan poured a glass of warm water and went over, helping Si Tingyuan sit up. She placed the pills from the evening compartment into his hand. After taking the medicine, Si Tingyuan still looked uncomfortable, leaning against the sofa, clearly enduring the pain. She asked him in a low voice, "Can you go to the hospital?" Si Tingyuan's face was a little pale. He raised a hand to his stomach and shook his head, saying weakly, "No need. It's an old problem. I'll be fine in a little while after the medicine kicks in." His gesture made Yunyan understand. It was a stomachache. It had scared her to death. Yunyan thought for a moment, then refilled the glass with more warm water and handed it to him. "Sip it slowly." Si Tingyuan glanced at her, and she gestured with her eyes toward the glass. A moment later, Si Tingyuan took the glass and, as she had said, slowly took 2 sips. "Try to drink half the glass. It should help ease the pain a little," she said softly. Si Tingyuan was quite obedient, slowly finishing half the glass of water. Yunyan took the glass and placed it on the coffee table. Seeing that he was still breaking out in a cold sweat, she pulled out a tissue and handed it to him. Si Tingyuan thanked her and took it, and she saw that his long, slender fingers were still trembling slightly. She sighed softly. "Are you sure you don't want to go to the hospital when you're in this much pain?" Si Tingyuan wiped away the sweat, his voice weak. "It's fine. Going to the hospital brings more trouble." Yunyan understood. For a powerful and famous person like him, being taken from here by an ambulance would lead to who knows what kind of rumors the next day. Even a stock price might take a hit. She was reminded of her father, that he used to avoid going to the hospital for minor ailments whenever possible, or he would have the family doctor come privately, unwilling to have it widely publicized. "Is it still hurting a lot?" Yunyan asked him. Si Tingyuan nodded slightly. "Just have to wait for the medicine to take effect." That could be a long and painful wait, Yunyan thought. After a moment's consideration, she said to him, "Give me your hand." Si Tingyuan didn't understand, but he extended his hand anyway. The man's palm was broad, his fingers long, and his knuckles distinct. His career and wisdom lines were exceptionally deep. She gently took his hand. The moment their skin touched, she vaguely felt the man's hand tremble. But it was just a fleeting sensation. Yunyan thought she might have imagined it. "I'll massage a few acupressure points for you. It might help ease the pain." Si Tingyuan didn't speak, watching her in the dim light. Yunyan kept her eyes focused, her fingers repeatedly massaging his naguan, higu, and sifeng points with just the right amount of pressure. Gradually, the sweat on Si Tingyuan's forehead stopped, and the pain had clearly subsided a great deal, much better than just waiting for the medicine to kick in as he had in the past. "I didn't expect the young lady of the Yu family to know traditional Chinese medicine," he said softly after a long while. Yunyan's massaging fingers faltered for a second, but quickly returned to their steady rhythm. She answered calmly, "My younger brother always forgets to eat when he's busy, and over time his stomach has gotten bad. As his older sister, I had to find a way to help him." "Yuanzhou has a good sister." Si Tingyuan's tone seemed much more relaxed, a sign that the pain was mostly gone. Yunyan smiled slightly and turned to look at him. "It doesn't hurt anymore, does it?" Even hidden in the shadows, Si Tingyuan's face was still a bit pale, but his features were sharp and profoundly masculine. He looked at her. "It's much better." Just as Yunyan was about to let go of his hand, she heard Si Tingyuan say, "But it still hurts a little. I might have to trouble Miss Yu to massage it for a bit longer." Yunyan softly agreed and continued to massage his hand. "CEO C should try to remember these points. You can press them when you're not busy. But the most important thing is to eat and take your medicine on time." Si Tingyuan didn't reply. After a long moment, he suddenly asked her, "What did you think was wrong with me just now? Who are you going to call for me?" Yunyan's movements paused. She looked down, suddenly feeling quite awkward. She said, "I thought COC had been. After all, there's no shortage of people at this kind of event who would want to take the opportunity to get close to you." A corner of Si Tingyuan's mouth lifted slightly, understanding the meaning behind her words. "Including you?" Hearing this, Yunyan released his hand and stood up. "Yes, including me. But I wouldn't take advantage of someone's predicament." Her words piqued Si Tingyuan's interest. "You consider that sort of thing taking advantage of a predicament? At least, it wouldn't be of CEO C's own free will." Si Tingyuan studied her, his thin lips pursed slightly. "Miss Yu's beauty is well known in our circles. And I've heard that Miss Yu is also quite skilled in her methods with men. I thought Miss Yu preferred more direct ways to achieve her goals." Yunyan gave a wry smile. When she looked up at Si Tingyuan again, her eyes were clear. "So, is this why CEO C asked me to find you in the lounge?" Si Tingyuan was momentarily taken aback. I don't think CEO C is that kind of person, is he? Yun Yan's composure remained steady. Si Tingyuan stared at her for a long time before saying, "You are indeed different from the rumors." He adjusted his shirt collar and straightened his tie. It seemed the pain had completely stopped. The moment he leaned back against the sofa, the man's superior and powerful aura emerged. "Miss Yu is here about the future cooperation between the C and Yu families, I presume?" Seeing him get straight to the point, Yun Yan naturally seized the opportunity. "Yes, the collaboration between the C and Yu families has gone very well for the past few years. Smooth sailing all the way. Now that you are in charge of the C family, CEO C, our Yu family would still like to fight for the chance to cooperate with you." Wanting to meet Si Tingyuan was not a whim on Yun Yan's part. She wouldn't fight an unprepared battle like some reckless amateur. With so many influential figures at the event, she needed to target the most important one. The C and Yu families had collaborated when her father was still alive. The C family's jewelry business was one of the ventures undertaken by the Yu family at that time. Si Tingyuan's father was in charge of the C family. But as the Yu family's troubles began and the management of the C family was gradually handed over to the younger generation, namely Si Tingyuan and his brother, the cooperative chain between the two families became precarious. They hadn't completely burned their bridges, but they kept delaying any discussion of new cooperative intentions. Yun Yan was more familiar with the Shanghai Circle than the Beijing Circle. Families like the Si family and the former Yu family had been powerful players in the Shanghai scene. Now, times had changed, and old connections had grown cold. But this was a tough nut to crack, that why Yun Yan had also heard about this eldest young master of the Si family's ruthless business methods. He had suppressed or restructured the old guard's power and connections. To put it bluntly, he was rebuilding his own power base. Si Tingyuan sat there, reached for a cigarette case, and put a cigarette between his lips. "Miss Yu, in this world, everyone is scrambling for personal gain. Given the Yu family's current situation, it will be very difficult for you to negotiate a partnership. Moreover," with a click, the lighter ignited the cigarette. He took a drag and exhaled a puff of smoke before continuing. "As far as I know, the Yu family is currently managed by Yuan Zhou. Miss Yu has never participated in the family business, has she?" Yun Yan admitted, "That's correct. In the past, the family business was managed by her father and A Zhou. Although she had been in business school, she had lived the life of a princess. Her father and her brother had held up a sky for her where she could breathe freely. Just as her father had told her, 'Yin Yin, Dad just wants you to be happy your whole life, to do whatever you want, to be free and unrestrained.' She hadn't understood back then, but now she truly realized that her freedom had been built on her father's heavy burdens." Si Tingyuan smiled when he saw her admit it so frankly. Yun Yan could see the meaning behind his smile. Perhaps he thought she was just a spoiled young lady with a big temper, trying to do something beyond her capabilities. Si Tingyuan's next words, though not explicit, were aimed right at her thoughts. "If that's the case, isn't Miss Yu wasting her time coming to see me? Or do you think?" He studied her through the blue-white smoke, a dark glint in his eyes. "I would give a green light because of Miss Yu's beauty." Yun Yan's beauty was undeniable, and Si Tingyuan had to admit it. In fact, he had seen her before, many years ago. It was at a gala in Shanghai. Yu Yuan, as a wealthy merchant from the south, had for a time outshone even their Si family. The most eye-catching person there was the young lady of the Yu family. She was just a girl in her early teens then, but the beauty in her features was praised by everyone present. She was unrestrained and high-spirited, yet she possessed the etiquette and upbringing of a well-bred young lady. Si Tingyuan remembered clearly that the cellist performing at the event had suddenly fallen ill. His playing became discordant, and the manager fired him on the spot before apologizing to the distinguished guests. Unexpectedly, the young lady of the Yu family had retorted to the manager, "People eat grains, so of course they get sick. Are you made of iron?" When she learned the cellist had been fired, she just smiled lightly and gave him a phone number, saying, "Go find this person. You are very talented. I think you deserve a real stage." After helping the man, and seeing the cello lying idle, she felt no inhibitions and began to play for her own amusement. Everyone present who sought to curry favor with the Yu family was prepared to offer lavish praise, even if she played terribly. To their surprise, the same piece, when played by her, had a unique charm. It was both professional and beautiful. Si Tingyuan had been attending the gala with his father and had witnessed the entire scene, including the crowd of wealthy young men surrounding her. She was proud and radiant. Yun Yan disliked the smell of smoke, but she endured the discomfort and smiled faintly, asking Si Tingyuan, "Oh, Si, may I sit?" Si Tingyuan gave his silent consent. She sat on the sofa opposite him, moving slightly away from the smoke, which allowed her to breathe more easily. Si Tingyuan's eyes were sharp. He seemed to have noticed this. He reached out the hand holding the cigarette and gently stubbed it out in the ashtray. Yunyan discreetly took in this gesture, feeling a bit more confident about the conversation to come. Although Si Tingyuan had a high and mighty status, he was at least respectful. I may not have participated, but I understand it very well, she said softly. Si Tingyuan raised an eyebrow, a half-smile on his face. What does Miss You understand? Yunyan said softly. The Si family's businesses are vast and intricate. While the jewelry industry may not be dominant for a family that built its fortune on industry, it is the key to establishing a firm foothold among the elite and a stepping stone to open the doors of overseas royalty. In the last 2 years, the Si family has secretly formed a design team. It's no exaggeration to say that in past collaborations, the Si family supply of raw stones was never an issue, but the greater value of a piece of jewelry was determined by the Yu family's post-processing. Therefore, there were situations where the Si family was controlled by the Yu family. Si Tingyuan didn't interrupt her, watching her quietly, waiting for her to continue. The Si family intended to break free from that control, but in reality, the effect has been minimal. Yunyan smiled faintly. The Yu family's team was handpicked and cultivated by my father at great expense. They have a deep understanding of the tastes of royalty abroad and can influence the choices of high society at home. A team honed for a decade isn't something a company can replace just by throwing money at it. The Yu family's team in the jewelry industry is universally recognized as professional. Compared to appraisal institutions, the Yu family's judgment on the value of a piece of jewelry is more convincing. Yunyan was a gentle blade, and with a single strike, she had pierced the Si family's vital point. Naturally, they could not afford to wait. Si Tingyuan impassively sized up Yunyan, who sat across from him. Her words were gentle, devoid of any aggressive force, yet every syllable carried the glint of daggers and swords. The Si and Yu families had a long history of cooperation. It could be said that in the Jiangnan region, the Yu family was their closest partner. Back then, the two heads of the families had reached a long-term strategic partnership, with the jewelry sector being the most crucial part of the industrial chain. In the jewelry industry, the Si family was a rising star, but their strength lay in possessing mining rights for raw gemstones. The post-processing and integration of these raw stones were the Yu family's expertise. Because of the Yu family's professionalism, the value of a gemstone, from its extraction to its market launch, was effectively controlled by them. For the past 2 years, the Si family had intended to take over the gem operation sector. But just as Yunyan had said, building a team took time, both in terms of aesthetic judgment and understanding the preferences of the target audience. As things stood, the Si family's team was indeed not capable. After the Yu family's misfortune, the Si family had attempted to acquire other teams, even the Yu families, but with little success. The market was ever-changing. For every day the team issue was delayed, the Si family's position in the jewelry world was likely to be threatened. I imagine the Si family doesn't have a suitable gemstone to exhibit this time, Yunyan said, looking at Si Tingyuan. It was phrased as a question, but her tone was one of absolute certainty. Aside from a necklace auctioned off by young Master Yin, the highest bid item of the night was a masterpiece from the Yu family. This year, the Si family can get by at the appreciation fair with a Yu family piece. But what about next year? Mr. Si, although I'm not well-versed in the market or company operations, I can still judge that a professional team like this can't be developed in under 3 years. There was no hint of anger in Si Tingyuan's expression. His tone was placid. I regret what happened to Uncle Yu. Now that the Yu family is helmed by Yuan Zhou and its businesses are in decline, I have little confidence in our continued cooperation, especially regarding the stability of your post-processing team. Businessmen chase profits. Miss Yu, you understand this. Yunyan parried smoothly. I completely understand Mr. Si's concerns. Due to the Yu family's current situation, we have indeed lost many former partners. But I believe Mr. Si has tried to poach people from the Yu family team with high salaries, haven't you? It seems the results were not ideal. Using the words, it seems, was Yunyan's way of saving face for the Si family. Both of them knew the truth of the matter. The moment the Yu family ran into trouble, the Si family had immediately tried to absorb their team with high salaries and very tempting offers. Although some designers were poached during that time, they ultimately left, unable to acclimatize. The Yu family team is a single entity. To be precise, it's a professional team that has been polished for over a decade, with its own complete operational system. More importantly, its network of channels is extremely stable. The Yu family ensures that the work of every designer on the team has the opportunity to be recognized and valued. As for the resource channels we connect with, I don't think I need to elaborate for Mr. Si to understand. This was also a key reason the Si family was willing to partner with us in the first place. It's normal for you to have concerns, Mr. Si, but the current Yu family has trimmed its branches, leaving only its core businesses, which includes retaining our key teams. This means the channels we face are exceptionally stable, a fact I'm sure Mr. Si discovered when trying to poach our team. Although the Yu family was now in decline, the saying was true. A starved camel is still bigger than a horse. The Yu family was that starved camel, and holding on to its core businesses was its lifeline. It was precisely because the Yu family's core businesses had a good reputation and stable cooperative channels that they had become the oxygen keeping the family afloat after its downfall. Within the core jewelry chain, the Yu family still maintained some relationships with overseas royalty. Domestically, they had previously established some resources in North China through the Jiang family's connections, but their mainstream resources remained in Shanghai and the Jiangnan region. This was a silver lining in their misfortune. Si Tingyuan's expression remained placid throughout, but Yunyan was confident he had heard every word. Otherwise, who would waste time listening to her pontificate? After a long while, Si Tingyuan's gaze fell on Yunyan's face. To hear Miss Yu talk, it sounds like you're here to solve the Si family's problems? No, the Yu family's. What kind of man was Si Tingyuan? In terms of age and experience, he far surpassed Yuan Zhou. He had been the designated heir to the Si family for many years. Not only were his eyes sharp, but his mind was also exceedingly clear. Therefore, Yunyan would not engage in empty boasting with him. It would do the current Yu family no good. Hearing Si Tingyuan's question, she knew exactly where things stood. So she spoke the truth. The Yu family can solve the Si family's urgent crisis. At the same time, the Si family is the Yu family's lifeline. I agree with what you said about businessmen chasing profits, Mr. Si, but I also believe that for a businessman to become an entrepreneur, the profit he chases is certainly not the one right in front of him. The Si family has many businesses, but the Yu family can only rely on this one gamble. Mr. Si, who do you think is more willing to stake everything on a single throw? Si Tingyuan fell silent. He had been watching Yunyan quietly the entire time. Yunyan's gaze did not waver, meeting his with complete frankness. Si Tingyuan's eyes were deep, his thoughts unreadable. After a long moment, he finally said, I need to see the sincerity of the Yu family's cooperation. The Yu family will naturally make concessions on immediate profits. We have to give the Si family some peace of mind. As for how exactly to divide this cake, I believe the Yu family will give the Si family a satisfactory answer after calculating the costs. Si Tingyuan looked at her. Does Miss Yu have the final say on the Yu family yielding profits? Mr. Si, I too am a shareholder of the Yu family, Yunyan said, hitting the mark. Si Tingyuan smiled. It was a meaningful smile, inscrutable and impossible to decipher. He leaned his tall frame forward slightly, fixing his eyes on Yunyan, and suddenly asked her, Miss Yu, you said you don't understand the market or business operations. I don't think that's true. Compared to Mr. Si, what I know is but a drop in the ocean. Miss Yu, you're quite different from what I imagined, and from what I've heard, Si Tingyuan said, a half-smile on his face as he looked at her. Yunyan was magnanimous. One's opinion of another often begins with what others say. I can imagine your first impression of me wasn't very good, so I won't ask for the specifics. This made Si Tingyuan raise an eyebrow. His curiosity piqued. Why not ask? I imagine they weren't good things. Although I don't show it, I tend to lose sleep when I hear unpleasant words, Yunyan said with a smile. Si Tingyuan leaned back, his gaze never leaving her face. I don't think so. Miss Yu is articulate and clear-headed. To be able to sit here and converse so rationally for so long is admirable. You flatter me, Mr. Si, and thank you for giving me this opportunity, Yunyan said softly. Si Tingyuan chuckled lightly, then changed the subject. How would Miss Yu evaluate our conversation tonight? Yunyan lowered her eyes. When she looked up again, a faint smile played on her lips. I respect any decision Mr. Si makes. The entire Yu family does. She sidestepped the core of the question, saying nothing of success or failure. Si Tingyuan narrowed his eyes slightly. This young lady of the Yu family had truly made him see her in a new light. She was truly intelligent. He had met too many clever people. In a conversation like tonight's, most of those clever people would likely presume to know his thoughts. But Yunyan didn't touch upon that, simply replying with a masterful deflection. One shouldn't underestimate that sentence. It was enough to prove her wisdom was restrained, brilliant, but not ostentatious. Such men were rare in the world, let alone women. Si Tingyuan didn't speak right away, just watch her quietly. She was bathed in the light and shadow of the floor lamp, her light-colored evening gown accentuating her fair, smooth skin. Only then did Si Tingyuan realize the soft sensation in his palm was still there, a sensory memory left from when she had massaged his pressure points. Si Tingyuan prided himself on his composure. He had always kept his private and public affairs separate. But looking at Yunyan like this, he found himself involuntarily posing a question. If Miss Yu's persuasion tonight is unsuccessful, what then? Sharp as she was, Yunyan naturally understood the underlying meaning of his words. She asked him back, neither servile nor overbearing. Would Mr. Si sacrifice his interest for a woman's charms? Si Tingyuan's voice was deep. No. Yunyan smiled faintly. So, if I had tried to seduce you with my charms, I imagine Mr. C wouldn't have listened to me for this long. It wasn't that Si Tingyuan had no female entrepreneurs among his partners, but to chat for so long with a young socialite, and about business and the market at that, was a first for him. I am curious about one thing, he said, his voice rising slightly. Hearing this, for some reason, Yunyan felt a faint premonition. Si Tingyuan leaned back, his left leg elegantly crossed over his right, most of his face hidden in shadow. He asked, what kind of person would make Miss Yu willing to forsake even her beauty to achieve her goal? His words struck at the heart of her premonition. She was silent for a moment. Si Tingyuan continued unhurriedly. I heard Yuan Zhou got into some trouble a while ago, and that it was all thanks to Miss Yu's considerable connections that he came out unscathed. Yunyan remained silent. Her chest tightened, a sour ache spreading through it. Can I also interpret this to mean that Miss Yu would abandon anything for her interests, including her dignity? Yunyan's breathing quickened. Si Tingyuan watched her quietly, then suddenly smiled. If I have offended you, Miss Yu, I apologize. Mr. C, have you ever been paragliding? Yunyan asked out of the blue. Si Tingyuan was slightly taken aback, not understanding her meaning. I have. Yunyan looked up at him. Once, during a flight, my equipment malfunctioned, and I fell from a great height. Luckily, there was an ocean below, so I didn't die from the impact. But as I plunged into the sea, I had to face sharks drawn by the scent of blood. My life was hanging by a thread again. Actually, as I was falling, I was already regretting it. I shouldn't have gone paragliding, shouldn't have neglected to check my equipment properly. And in that moment facing the sharks, all I could think was that I had to survive. I had to survive, no matter what. Even if it meant severing her own arm, she had to survive. Mr. C, you must have never faced such a desperate situation, have you? Only when you've reached that point do you realize how trivial dignity is and how important it is to live. Zhou is the most important person in my life. Between his well-being and my dignity, I choose the former. Si Tingyuan watched her quietly, saying nothing. After a long time, he said, I could take responsibility for Miss Yu's reputation. Yunyan was stunned, not understanding. Si Tingyuan gestured at the time. From the moment you walked into this lounge until now, it has been 1 hour and 5 minutes. That's more than enough time to make people outside misunderstand, especially that person you'd forsake your dignity to beg. A jolt went through Yunyan. There is no such thing as a wall that keeps all secrets, especially in the world of fame and fortune. Something that happened 1 second could be fermenting throughout the social circles the next. When Yunyan returned to the banquet hall, she could clearly feel that everyone's gazes were strange. It seemed Si Tingyuan was right. Nearly 2 hours was enough time to let people's imaginations run wild. Xiao Min had drunk a lot, but her high tolerance kept her sober. She said to her, You're finally back. The banquet is almost over. I was so worried you'd just leave with Mr. C without a word. If you can't avoid people's gossip, then don't. Xiao Min was a clever woman and could guess whether she had left the venue with Mr. C. Just now in the lounge, Si Tingyuan had also proposed a solution. Since returning to the hall will also be met with criticism, you might as well leave with me. At least it's out of sight, out of mind. Yunyan had politely declined. It was all rumors and gossip anyway, so let them think and say whatever they wanted. As the banquet was drawing to a close, Si Tingyuan unexpectedly came downstairs. The atmosphere in the hall immediately livened up again. What unsettled Yunyan was that Jiang Yinyan hadn't left either. He entered the hall, still accompanied by Mora. Xiao Min whispered in Yunyan's ear. Jiang Yinyan and Mora probably came back after finding some peace and quiet. After all, this event is mainly sponsored by Mora's family. It wouldn't look good if she didn't show her face. She added, It's rare for Jiang Yinyan to stay until the end. He's really giving Mora a lot of face. The appearance of these three certainly animated the scene. Just as Yunyan was about to slip away, she saw Jiang Yinyan glance in her direction from across the room. Holding a wine glass, he nodded to those who approached him to chat, a perfunctory greeting, and in that brief moment his gaze swept over. It seemed unintentional, but Yunyan's heart jolted. How can you hide? No matter how big the hall is, it's still an enclosed space. Xiao Min interrupted Yunyan's thought of hiding. He probably spotted you long ago. The young lady of the Yu family carries a lot of weight at an event like this. Yunyan knew, but she always hoped to avoid him whenever possible. Si Tingyuan was also surrounded by many people, but he politely declined them one by one and actually started walking toward Yunyan. Xiao Min gave a tight-lipped smile and lowered her voice to Yunyan. The young master of the Si family can't possibly be unaware of what's been going on between you and young Master Yin. It seems he intends to rival him. It's no wonder. I heard the Si and Jiang families had some unpleasantness in the market recently. The Si family's ability to move north shows their posturing to take a piece of the Jiang family's cake. As she spoke, Si Tingyuan had already approached. Xiao Min took the opportunity to toast him, showing no intention of leaving. 9 out of 10 people who came here were shrewd operators, let alone Xiao Min. Si Tingyuan didn't seem to mind. He leaned close to Yunyan and said softly, "Since everyone is going to speculate, I might as well be your reassurance. Let them know that even if they have their suspicions, they'd better keep them to themselves. Offending Miss Yu is the same as offending the Si family. How about it?" Yunyan understood what Si Tingyuan meant. As long as she walked out of the hall with him, the rumors about her and Jiang Yinyan would fall apart on their own. Even if there was a real relationship, this crowd probably wouldn't dare to discuss it too openly. After all, no one would dare to offend both the Jiang and Si families at the same time. But she knew in her heart, how could it be that simple? One was Si Tingyuan, the other Jiang Yinyan. The former represented the Shanghai circle, the latter the Beijing circle. They were naturally the center of attention, and even with almost no interaction at the event, they were inevitably compared. Now, add Yinyan to the mix, a woman already highly controversial in both business and socialite circles. With the three of them together, it was bound to be a spectacle. And to top it off, Jiang Yinyan had called out her name, Yunyan. His voice wasn't loud, but it was enough for those nearby to hear. Yunyan clutched her wine glass and took a deep, quiet breath. What was coming would come. She just didn't know what game Jiang Yinyan was playing at this moment. She turned to the side, a faint smile on her lips, her expression placid. When she spoke, her tone was deferential. Xiaoyan, Mo stood beside Jiang Yinyan, a gentle smile fixed on her face. Even knowing Jiang Yinyan had come for Yunyan, she showed not a hint of displeasure. Compared to the intricate minds in political and business circles, Yunyan was well aware that every socialite had 180 schemes up her sleeve. What tier was Mo? Even a bronze-tier socialite who managed to squeeze into the circle knew how to manage her expressions, let alone a king tier like Mo. Hiding one's joy and anger was the most basic of skills. Jiang Yinyan walked forward to stand beside Yunyan, looking at Si Tingyuan. "CEO Si, enjoying yourself?" A waiter approached, holding a tray of cocktails, and waited respectfully. Jiang Yinyan did not immediately reach for a glass, standing there proudly. Si Tingyuan did not curry favor with the Jiang family, but he certainly wouldn't offend them, especially not here in Beishur, the very center of Jiang Yinyan's power. The Si and Yu families have always had a working relationship. It's a rare pleasure to have the chance to meet Miss Yu today. Jiang Yinyan turned to look at Yunyan, a faint, shallow smile touching his eyes. "I never knew you were interested in business." His words set off a flurry of whispers. No one here was a fool. Jiang Yinyan's casual sentence was enough to prove his familiarity with Yunyan. Si Tingyuan took a slight step forward, standing shoulder to shoulder with Yunyan. He smiled at Jiang Yinyan. "Xiaoyan, that statement was a bit inappropriate. Even those closest to us have sides we don't know, let alone Miss Yu." The atmosphere grew tense. The waiter, standing nearby, felt alarm bells ringing in his head. Just as he was about to retreat, Jiang Yinyan extended a hand, his long fingers wrapping around a stem glass. The waiter breathed a silent sigh of relief and scurried away. Jiang Yinyan smiled faintly. The Jiang and Yu families are old friends, and Miss Yu is someone the Jiang family has chosen. Naturally, I understand her. Yunyan's breath caught in her chest. Even Xiao Min, usually a master of social graces, dared not try to ease the tension. She feared that Jiang Yinyan and Si Tingyuan were merely using Yunyan as a pretext for a clash of interests. "Miss Mo." Unexpectedly, it was Yunyan who spoke. Mo, a testament to her excellent upbringing, smiled faintly at Yunyan upon hearing her name. The calm in her eyes was completely undisturbed by the tense atmosphere. Holding her glass, Yunyan stepped forward with a smile. "Miss Mo, did you go off to find some peace and quiet? I've been looking for you ever since I finished my meeting with CEO Si. Thank you for your introduction, Miss Mo. It was only because of you that I had the opportunity to meet CEO Si and further discuss the upcoming collaborations between our two families." Si Tingyuan watched Yunyan with a slight smile. How clever. 2 birds with 1 stone. By bringing up Mo as the one who made the introduction, she silently refuted the wild speculations of everyone present, and also informed them that the Si and Yu families intended to continue their partnership, doing her best to reverse the Yu family's bleak situation. Mo was also a clever person and was naturally willing to grant this easy favor. She warmly took Yunyan's hand and gently clinked their glasses. "There's a common problem in every circle." Yunyan deliberately asked, "What is it?" Mo smiled. "The common problem is that they always think of us women as mere accessories. No matter how capable a woman is, the moment she achieves anything, she'll be questioned by some men with filthy minds. I, for one, can't stand seeing women suffer this injustice. Someone as beautiful as you, Nian Yin, must have faced a great deal of criticism. She called her Nian Yin, and she said it all quite loudly. Her intention was obvious. There were harsh things Yin couldn't say, and the other socialites present couldn't say them either, but Mo could. Her status allowed her to be audacious, and her attitude would directly influence the judgment of others. Xiao Min watched silently from the side, thinking to herself that this Mo was quite the ally. Even with Jiang Yin in the mix, when she said she'd help, she really came through. Mo took a light sip of her drink and said to Yin, "But you don't need to care what those people think. To put it bluntly, they just can't stand to see a woman succeed. They're just unwilling to admit they could lose to a woman." At this, she looked at Si Tingyuan. "CEO Si, after your discussion, what is your opinion of Miss Yu?" Si Tingyuan smiled faintly. "I used to think Miss Yu was just a pretty vase, but today I learned that the Yu family has crouching tigers and hidden dragons. It's no wonder that even with the family in dire straits, their integrity remains." Si Tingyuan chose his words carefully, using "in dire straits" to describe the Yu family's current fragmented state, implying to everyone that their difficulties were only temporary. With integrity comes credibility. That is the root of a family. As long as the root is not lost, it will eventually flourish again. The others began to whisper among themselves. "In any case, I must also thank Miss Mo, Si Tingyuan said, raising his glass to Mo. Mo smiled. "You're too kind, CEO Si. I didn't really do anything. Whether the two families can partner again still depends on the Yu family's fortunes, doesn't it? But I believe, with the Yu family's reputation in the Jiangnan region, they will not disappoint the Si family. Perhaps Si could give it more consideration." Yin felt a surge of gratitude. Mola's words were truly important. Normal business collaborations or negotiations are never settled in one go. They inevitably require several rounds of give and take. Mo was indirectly telling everyone that Yin's meeting today was, at most, a preliminary discussion. Whether the partnership would come to fruition required further negotiation. Moreover, even if a deal was struck, it wouldn't be with Yin. The current head of the Yu family's businesses was Yuan Zhou. Yin was merely a pawn. Therefore, the notion that Yin was trying to use her beauty to secure a deal was pure nonsense. Such explanations and indirect remarks might work on outsiders, but they were not necessarily a silver bullet against Jiang Yin. He didn't say much, however, only smiling as he looked at Yin. Quite impressive. From his smiling eyes, Yin detected a trace of sinister coldness, and her heart was in turmoil. Si Tingyuan stepped forward to toast Jiang Yin. "It is a true honor to meet Xiao Yin today. I'll be in Beishir for a while longer. I'd like to invite Xiao Yin for a drink some other day." "All right," Jiang Yin said placidly. Si Tingyuan turned to Yin. "Miss Yu hasn't had much to eat tonight, and it's partly my fault. I wonder if I might have the honor of treating you to a meal." Just as Yin was about to say it was too late, and she wasn't planning on eating, Jiang Yin spoke. "I'm afraid CEO C will be disappointed. She has to leave with me tonight." A wave of sharp gasps rippled through the crowd. Yin's heart leaped in her throat. Jiang Yin was utterly unpredictable in his words and actions. She could never guess what he was thinking or what he would do. She subconsciously glanced at Mo. Hadn't Mo helped her precisely because she had sworn she had nothing to do with Jiang Yin? Mo lowered her gaze slightly, sipping her drink intermittently. It was impossible to read her mood from her calm face. Xiao Min hadn't been able to interject throughout the entire exchange. With how things had developed, not just Xiao Min, but even Mo was powerless to say anything. Si Tingyuan, however, just smiled, his words hitting the nail on the head. "I almost forgot. The Jiang and Yu families have a marriage alliance with your nephew, Xiao Yin, isn't it? Since Jiang Zhe isn't here, it's not quite appropriate for Miss Yu to leave with you." Xiao Min shot a discreet look at Si Tingyuan. His words carried a clear hint of provocation. Yin pressed her lips together in silence, her hand by her side, clenching into a fist. Mo naturally spoke up for Jiang Yin, her voice bright with a smile. "Of course, we must deliver my dear Yin into Jiang Zhe's hands. That boy just called me to ask if the banquet was over and if anyone was preying on Yin. Yin happens to be leaving as well, so he's just giving Yin a ride, right?" She looked at Jiang Yin. Yin heard her clearly. Yin. In this entire venue, only Mo dared to call him that. Mo had provided a very reasonable, unassailable way out. But for Yin, whether it was Jiang Yin or Jiang Zhe, it was merely the difference between the dragon's pool and the tiger's den. Xiao Min stepped forward and said softly, "Yin, did you forget? We have another gathering later." She then turned to Si Tingyuan with an apologetic smile. A few of Yin's old university classmates are back in the country, so they wanted to get together. Leaving with either man was inappropriate. "Right, I almost forgot. I'm not giving her a ride. I'm taking her with me." Jiang Yin cut Yin off, shattering the excuse Xiao Min had just offered. Not only was Yunyan stunned, but even Si Tingyuan was taken aback, frowning subconsciously. With that, Jiang Yinyan was being brazen. It wasn't just the main parties involved. Those standing nearby also began to whisper. No one had expected Jiang Yinyan to contradict Mola. Mola's expression changed slightly. A while ago, my nephew caused the Jiang family a lot of trouble. Not only was Yinyan deeply affected, but she was also implicated and even attacked online. She wishes to dissolve the marriage alliance with the Jiang family, so, tonight, I'm taking her back to the Jiang estate to handle this matter. Jiang Yinyan said this calmly and deliberately. Another wave of shock went through the crowd. Si Tingyuan hadn't expected Jiang Yinyan to pull such a move and was momentarily stunned. Yunyan was aghast. Of course, whatever decision Yunyan makes, the Jiang family will respect it. Although the old madam has always cherished Miss the Jiang family will not force anyone against their will. Jiang Yinyan looked at Yunyan, a half-smile on his face. So, come with me. He made a gesture of invitation. Yunyan looked up, and in her panic, her gaze crashed into the depths of his pupils. The smile on the man's lips did not reach his eyes, leaving the depths of his pupils like an abyss, sending a chill down her spine. Xiao Min was at a loss. Jiang Yinyan was too domineering. No one could help. She actually wanted to charge forward regardless of the consequences, or even have a falling out with him and drag Yinyan away. But the moment the thought arose, she saw Mola staring at her. Perhaps understanding her intentions, Mola gave her a subtle shake of the head, a signal to stay calm. Xiao Min took a deep breath, fighting to suppress the impulse in her heart. Si Tingyuan watched the scene unfold with consistent composure. Xiao Min had no idea what he was thinking. In the end, Yunyan conceded, bidding farewell to Si Tingyuan and Xiao Min. Old Lu was driving the minivan, and a black business van followed closely behind. Jiang Yinyan ordered Old Lu to personally escort Mola back to her hotel and to only leave after ensuring she was safe. Mola grabbed his arm. Is the Yu family really planning to break off the engagement? Jiang Yinyan's gaze fell, and Mola subconsciously let go. Remember to let Old Lu know you've arrived safely at the hotel, he said coolly. Mola subconsciously glanced at the business van behind them. Yinyan was already inside. Before getting in, she had not missed the look in Yunyan's eyes. Worried and terrified, Mola could sense that something was wrong, but Jiang Yinyan wouldn't say a word, and Yunyan was clearly trying to escape. Alternatively, I could accompany you back to the Jiang estate, Mola said softly. Mola, when Jiang Yinyan's face was devoid of a smile, he appeared exceptionally cold and stern. There are some things you shouldn't get involved in. Like her meeting with CEO Si. Mola was incredibly sharp. Jiang Yinyan said flatly. Si Tingyuan was just advancing by retreating. By taking the initiative to connect them, you were merely playing into his hands. I know, but so what? Mola said nonchalantly. The Jiang and Yu families are old family friends, aren't they? Don't you want to see the Yu family rise again? It was clear Jiang Yinyan did not want to discuss the matter. He called out coolly, Old Lu. Old Lu respectfully came forward, opened the car door, and waited. Miss Mola, please get in. It's getting windy. Be careful not to catch a cold. The temperature had dropped somewhat tonight, and the wind was cool. Mola looked at him for a long time before getting into the car without another word. The car drove on, but not in the direction of the Jiang family's old estate. Yunyan had been prepared for this. How could he possibly take her to the Jiang family? Jiang Yinyan sat beside her. After getting in the car, he had casually told the driver, just drive, and had been silent ever since. Yinyan felt the air conditioning in the car was too strong, a kind of cold that seeped into her bones. Although Jiang Yinyan's thoughts were hard to fathom, she could sense he was suppressing his displeasure. After a long while, Jiang Yinyan finally spoke, his voice faint. Come here. The car was so quiet that his sudden words made her jump. Seeing her flinch, he turned to look at her, his gaze chilling. Yunyan felt her skin crawl under his stare and slowly moved closer to him. He raised a hand, his long fingers stroking her face in a semblance of tenderness. He chuckled. Scared. Yunyan felt his fingers on her face were as cold as a snake slithering over her skin. The man's hand moved around to the nape of her neck and suddenly tightened. She almost suffocated, letting out a cry of pain as she was forced to tilt her head up to look at him. Jiang Yinyan's handsome face drew close, his eyes now tinged with an obvious sinister gloom. Yunyan, I really underestimated you. Tell me, how did you serve Si Tingyuan? Jiang Yinyan didn't let go of her. His big hand was cold, gripping her nape like a pair of pliers. Suddenly, he smiled. I never knew Miss you had such lofty aspirations, lying beneath me and still having such grand ambitions. Yunyan's face flushed red. These humiliating words were extremely jarring to her ears. As far as I know, Si Tingyuan never talks business at a dinner party. For nearly 2 hours, do you think he was listening to your eloquent speech or thinking about how to get into your bed? Jiang Yinyan's tone was icy cold. Yunyan's chest was filled with rage. Not everyone has such despicable intentions. She sought out Si Tingyuan only because of their previous business relationship, only because she wanted to seize the opportunity to continue their cooperation as much as possible. She had no other thoughts, and she didn't know Si Tingyuan very well, couldn't judge his character, and thus couldn't assess what he was thinking in his heart. But during their conversation, he didn't leave a bad impression on her, and that was enough. At least until now, her relationship with Si Tingyuan was pure and clean. Jiang Ninian laughed mockingly upon hearing this, and his hand on her nape tightened slightly, pulling her closer. He spoke each word deliberately. Yunyan, have you ever seen the most despicable side of human nature? When reason is replaced by indulgence, the bottom of human nature is nothing but filth. Don't believe it? It doesn't matter. Just try it and you'll know. Yunyan was terrified. Where are you taking me?